Hello everyone, my name is Colin Gilliland. I'm here with my wife Katie, my son Raylan, and my other son Wyatt. Today, I'm here to present to you prison reform, focusing on reintegration and society rather than punishment. This presentation sets the stage for a critical discussion on prison reform, emphasizing the need to focus on integration rather than punishment. The presentation highlights the importance of changing the approach to criminal justice. The focus here is on rehabilitation. It is a cornerstone of effective prison reform. By addressing the root causes of criminal behavior, rehabilitation programs can significantly reduce recidivism rates. Key areas such as work, education, and mental health are essential components of these programs, providing inmates with the tools they need to reintegrate successfully into society. All right, this one is going to go about the problem of recidivism. Recidivism remains a pressing issue, with rates soaring up to 68% within 3 years, according to the Department of Justice in 2023. That statistic underscores the failure of traditional punishment models, which often neglect the need for support and reintegration. A shift in focus towards rehabilitation is crucial for breaking this cycle and fostering a more effective criminal justice system. On this slide, we're going to talk about the main reform areas. This outlines the main areas of prison reform that can drive meaningful change in prison systems. Vocational training, work opportunities, and educational programs, mental health treatment, and proportionate punishment policies are all vital. Each of these areas plays a role in equipping inmates with the skills and support necessary for a successful reintegration back into society. Anybody have any questions? No? Okay. Work and vocational training. Work and vocational training programs are essential for providing inmates with practical skills in various trades, such as carpentry, welding, IT, and culinary arts. These programs not only offer certifications, but also improve inmate behavior and enhance the employability past their release, as is highlighted by the NCIA. In 2025. Here we come to one of my favorite. Education programs. Education programs are a critical component of prison reform. Having a mandatory GED program, which is known as General Education Development, to ensure that inmates without high school diplomas can achieve that milestone while having access to Pell Grants, college level courses, which was established by the First Step Act in 2024. It opens the doors for further education. The statistic that education can reduce recidivism by 43% emphasizes the transformation power of learning, according to Inmate Aid 2025. All right. Mental health. Now here's a problem that is huge in the prison system. Mental health has a lot of problems, but there's good people to help them. Mental health support is crucial for addressing the psychological needs of the inmates. Programs like the Resolve Trauma Treatment provide both individual and group therapy, creating self-awareness and emotional health. These initiatives not only help reduce institutional misconduct, but also lower the likelihood of reoffending, creating a safer environment for everyone inside and outside of prison. Anybody got any questions so far? Nope. So this next one we're going to talk about is punishment and rehabilitation. It's the balance between punishment and rehabilitation. Proportionate punishment based on the offense ensures that nonviolent inmates can benefit from expanded programs, which turn creates Proportionate punishment based on the offense ensures that nonviolent inmates can benefit from extended programs, which in turn creates accountability while providing opportunities for personal growth and development. Now you see where McPhail in 2019 came up with those statistics in the beginning. So does anybody, you guys understand what that means? Okay, what it's talking about is instead of having such horrendous punishment, we want to work more on rehabilitation. So still punishment, but the nonviolent inmates, they can go get some education, have work programs, such and such. So it kind of helps them reintegrate back in society. All right. Challenges to implementation. One of the biggest challenges. All right, so this effective reform faces several challenges. Low inmate wages and limited funding hinder the development of programs, while space, staffing, and training limitations pose significant obstacles. Also, cultural and institutional resistance can impede progress, as noted by Subramanian in 2024. All right, here we go on recidivism factors. Several factors contribute to recidivism, including a lack of education and job skills, mental health disorders, and substance abuse issues. The stigma associated with criminal records, particularly for repeat offenders, further complicates reintegration efforts. Understanding these factors is essential for developing targeted interventions. Outcomes of the reform policies. These outcomes of effective reform policies are promising. By focusing on rehabilitation, we can achieve lower recidivism rates and also improved inmate behavior. Additionally, these policies enhance the employability and the societal reintegration, ultimately leading to a greater public safety, reduced costs, and is highlighted by the Department of Justice in 2023. You know when we're talking what those means. Lower recidivism. Recidivism is when somebody repeats offense, gets out. So that's what all these programs and these policies will do. Okay, questions on that? Anybody? No? So, in conclusion, this presentation, effective reform hinges on addressing the root causes of criminal behavior. By prioritizing education, mental health, and work opportunities, it can create a rehabilitation-focused system that not only strengthens In conclusion, effective reform hinges on addressing the root causes of criminal behavior by prioritizing education, mental health, and work opportunities. It can create rehabilitation-focused systems that not only strengthens individuals, but also uplifts communities as a whole. Now, this presentation is about prison reform. Now, we're not taking anything back about not being punished, but there has to be other ways to it. Punishment cannot only be the only thing that they incur, or they will keep reoffending. So that is my presentation on prison reform, rehabilitation rather than punishment.
What type of mental health programs would you have? Like
Well,
different types of therapy, like substance abuse, that type of stuff?
Well, you have to, but also too, there is a difference, and I don't know a whole lot about it, but between mental health and behavioral health. So that's one thing, that's like the root causes. That's what you gotta come down into. That's where it's getting it down. If we get down to the root causes of what's happening, what's going through their mind, what's making them do these criminal acts of reoffending, then we'd be able to target each individual of what rehabilitation, what program, mental health, education, work, vocational training, which programs work best for that inmate, not just the prison as a whole. Everybody's different. Everybody has their own problems.
Would you start that process as soon as they are processed into the prison?
Day one. Should be an intake on day one. They at least get a ballpark idea of what's going on. And then after maybe further in processing and getting into their normal daily life or what it's going to be, then start addressing those problems again and started meeting personally. Now I know that's a lot, but I mean, and the biggest thing is problem is it comes to this funding and having staff and the facilities to do it. A lot of prison systems don't have the biggest facilities, and they're mainly there to keep you locked in, not want to teach you much.
Do you think overcrowding is a big issue
Yes.
with implementing all of that?
Yes.
Do you think these programs will reduce overcrowding?
Yes. I think that's one of the biggest things that will knock out too is overcrowding, because if you can give somebody the tools and that has they want in
The motivation?
passion or whatever to better themselves, that will reduce overpopulation, because a lot more people ain't going to reoffend when they get out. They're going to go and get a job. They're going to start their life back over. Maybe they go back to their family. Who knows? Their kids. Maybe they wanted something to show them that just because I was in prison, that person was in prison, doesn't make them a bad person. They can still accomplish their goals. See what I'm saying? So.
Do you think there should be reform on the laws as to that criminals can't get a job? Or if you have a felony, like it's harder to get a job? Like, should there be a program specifically for that?
Well, that would be kind of hard because that comes into legal problems. Because, what was it? Say it again, the first part.
What would you do about the legal portion that it's hard for felons to get a job? Like, would you create a program to where that's not the case anymore, or?
You can create a program to maybe find out what their skills are and be able to address that to jobs that they might be legally allowed to have. If it's a job that they have a felony and you can't, and it requires that you don't, I mean, I'm sorry, that's just how it falls.
Correct.
But if you can get programs out there for them,
Mm-hmm.
it'll put them in the right direction. So, is that it? Anybody else? Raylan?
Nope.
Wyatt? So, one last thing. On this slide, I got a comprehensive list of references that support the information I presented to you throughout this presentation. The sources include recent studies and reports that highlighted the importance of prison report, education, and reform policies, ensuring that our approach is grounded in credible research. Thank you.